Cardano or Solana? If you had to pick one, which one are you going with? There's been a lot of chatter back and forth on social media in regards to Solana's numbers, Cardano's numbers. Are Solana's numbers faked? And who has the more real users? And who can do more? Who can do less? Rob and I are going to have this discussion, whether we'd rather have our money in Cardano and Solana and why. We also have Magic Internet Money joining us to break down the charts. Gold has fallen off a cliff. Somebody gave Bitcoin a Cialis this morning, and then someone else gave Bitcoin an inverse Cialis, not once, but twice, as Bitcoin is currently trading below $112,000. Was that just a fantasy run, or is that kind of a glimpse into what's more to come? We're going to discuss that. We're also going to talk a little bit about saying why those numbers are hot. And what sector am I putting my money into for the next leg up? I'll share that on today's episode. Gentlemen in the back, roll the intro.
Hola! It's your boy Big Rob. Back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. I almost didn't make it.
You made it.
Made it.
I didn't know you were that fast.
I'm here.
Very fast.
I'm here.
Reminds me of one time my son, when he said, "Dad, look how fast I am," and decided to run across the street, and there was a car close. He's like, "Look, I was Flash." I was like, "If you ever do that again, I'm gonna fucking kill you." But yeah. Anyways, you weren't quite as fast as he is, but that's okay. You know, Bitcoin. We'll just briefly look at a Bitcoin chart, and I don't want to get into the Cardano and Solana conversation. This is BTC on the 1 hour here, guys. Coming into a what looks like a bull flag here. Massive breakout. We saw a little bit of consolidation. Everyone was like, "Oh, this is kind of like the Bart Simpson pattern. We're going to fall to the downside." Nope. Bitcoin ran up and currently is I'm hoping and I'm expecting it to fill out either a flag or a pennant, whatever you want to call it. Right? We can remove the wicks and go like this. And this upside target, my friends, depending on where this breakout happens, takes us above that key level that we've been talking about. Myself, Rob, Magic, 116.9. That would be the measured move for Bitcoin. We'll talk about why Bitcoin is moving. We'll talk about why it kind of had a drawdown. But first, let's talk about the thumbnail. So we got Cardano on one side with a picture of me, Solana on the other side with a picture of Rob, and it says pick one. Now, is it coincidence that I'm on the side of Cardano and Rob's on the side of Solana? You'll have to wait and see that, okay? But looking at this post, in the past 24 hours, 37 attackers on Solana have executed sandwich attacks against over 1,500 victims, extracting an estimated 987 Solana tokens valued at around $8,000. This is from It's Dave Ada, very loud proponent of Cardano on social media. These attacks occur every few minutes, quietly draining value from ordinary users in a blockchain that increasingly rewards bots over traders. Users aren't trading, they're being traded against. And it gets worse. In the past 30 days, just 134 attackers have extracted $189,000 from Solana through sandwich attacks. To which Vibu, who is looks like head of product marketing at Solana Foundation, kind of threw a little shot here. He said Cardano's total DEX volume in all of September was $100 million. Yesterday alone, users traded $3 billion on Solana, 30x more. Maybe if you spend a fraction of the time you spend tweeting and researching Solana and uplifting Cardano and making it better, and then a little bit of mudslinging in there. And then Dave responded, "You claim users traded $3 billion yesterday. Back it up. Prove those are actual users." And then it kind of went on. I'm not going to read all of it. And then he said, "Hey, if there's no real users using it, how could it have 1,500 victims?" So you have to pick one, right? Which direction? And then, anyways, this guy invited him, this Solana guy, invited Dave from Cardano to join him on a video call, a Zoom call, a Twitter Spaces, to do a podcast, and Dave said no. He's like, "I got a lot more stuff going on." This guy's like, "I'll do whatever it takes, man. 30-minute slot, morning, night, afternoon, in the Antarctica, whatever." And Dave said, hey, I'm not looking for engagement, yada, yada. I personally think he's ducking, but that's okay. Then we look at the actual numbers. And I want you guys that you're watching, I want you to just have an objective mind. Try to remove your personal bias and just try to look at these numbers objectively, okay? I personally hold both Cardano and Solana. I don't know about Rob. I'll let him speak for himself in a little bit. But we take a look at Cardano, total TVL 300 million, right? And we're going to kind of compare it to Solana. And DeFi Llama had this compare feature. I can't find it, though. Anyway, Solana 11.2 billion, Cardano 300 million. Stablecoin market cap, Cardano 36.6 million, Solana 15 billion. We look at app revenue, Solana 4 million, Cardano app revenue 5,100. That's over the last 24 hours. DEX volume, Solana over the last Cardano over the last 24 hours, 1.53 million. Solana DEX volume over the last 24 hours, 4.1 billion. Inflows, 24 hours, Solana 10.4 million. Cardano's inflows, doesn't look like it has those numbers here. We can take a look at active addresses over the last 24 hours. Cardano's sitting at 23,624, and Solana's at 2.4 million. Okay? So, objectively, the numbers are in the favor of Solana. Now, if you want to make the argument of, oh, these are all bots or fake accounts or yada, yada, that's a different story. Some potential, like, hey, stuff's going to happen on the Cardano side. This is Taptool saying very few possess the intellectual prowess to understand billions of dollars coming into Cardano via the ETF, which Grayscale just announced their GADA product. And so we know those are coming once the government opens up. And then you have kind of a... This is a company that, as you can see here, right, we spent 4 years building on ETH and Base. Nothing took off. 6 months ago, we moved to Solana. They launched their product, $3.5 million in revenue in 48 hours, flipping pumped off on 24-hour revenue. It pretty much goes on to say, if you're building on Base or any ETH layer 2, you're wasting your time. Solana isn't just faster and more scalable. It's the best place for consumer apps to find product market fit. And it goes on to list why, saying that Solana and Base, saying Base, they only like support what they want to support, right? Their inner circle, like Zora, Farcaster, launching their own meme coin. But if you're not part of that, then they don't really help you. And saying Solana is the opposite. We came into Solana. They treat builders as the core. They don't judge what you're building. They connect you with other teams and help push the product to the public. So anyways, we have two case studies there, or one case study there on why someone decided to go with Solana. So Rob, if you had to pick one to hold from this point moving forward, which one are you picking and why? And I'd like you to also comment on your thoughts of people continuing to point the finger at Solana and saying, sure, you might show that you have X amount of active users or X amount of transactions, but let's face it, those are all bots. They're not really users.
Is there bots on there? Absolutely. Is there bots on X? Is there bots on Meta, on Facebook? Is there bots everywhere? The excuse of chopping it up to bots is asinine. Ain't nobody ever said, hey, man, you know what? This Elon Musk X thing, it's, it's a smart idea, but people aren't actually on there. Those are bots. Like, stop. It's always the excuse, right? And is there bots? Yeah, cool. Awesome. I can also tell you that I've actively used Solana hundreds, if not thousands of times in my lifetime. Through DEXs, through the wallet apps, NFTs. There's a long list of things I've used Solana apps for. I have yet to use Cardano for anything. When's the last time you did a Cardano transaction, David? Now, I don't mean sending it from your Coinbase or your Kraken somewhere else.
When I claim my midnight airdrop.
How was that experience?
No, it was not good. I'm sorry, but that was I almost didn't do it because I was having trouble with the signing at the end, and I had to read like 10 FAQs. It definitely could have been made a lot easier. So I know there's dApps on there. The last thing we need is to go on back and forth with Charles, and he's over here. Big Rob, there is thousands of dApps on here as an ecosystem. There's the
the Rare Evo conference in Vegas, like it's full of people. Like, okay, cool, yeah, sure, they're there, but they're not a large amount of people using it. It's not equal to the market cap.
So then why does it have a big market cap?
The amount of dApps that should be on there for the market cap is not there. I'm not saying that there's nothing on the ecosystem. I'm just saying that there's not very many dApps that I've encountered, if any, and there's not very many dApps that I've heard other people using. If I ask, what is the most popular dApp on Cardano right now, David?
Probably Strike. It's up perps trading, but you have to do there's no like USDC or USDT, which is a classic. And I only say that because everyone's experience with perp trading is against Tether or Circle dollar pairs. You can do it through USD or paired with ADA, but yeah, I would say Strike. Strike is actually catching a lot of momentum. I'm actually curious where Strike sits in terms of where is Strike? I'm looking on DeFi Llama and I'm trying to find where Strike is for Cardano. Is it all the way down here? Am I blind? Do you see Strike anywhere here, Rob? Right here, Strike Finance. 4.5 million. TVL is up 21% over the last 7 days. So that is gaining some traction.
$4 million and
yeah, 4 million in TVL.
I'm not saying that.
I mean,
it's not. There's nothing. Okay, how about this? There's nothing impressive that I'm like, wow. Now I can make a different argument for Bitcoin, for Ethereum. There are things that stand out that are impressive. If I were to explain to somebody like, hey man, why should I buy Ethereum? You always hear that those people, right? Those strangers, like, should I buy Ethereum? And I'm just like, here we go. And then if they were to ask you a question like, what is it good for? Like, what does it do? Like, why are you bullish on it? Or why do you think it has a future? I would always just point to some very popular dApps, very popular use cases. Nothing stands out to me on Cardano. You know what Cardano feels like to me? You know what it feels like to me, David?
What?
It feels like back in the day, the promise of Litecoin versus Bitcoin. And I'm not saying the two are the same and it's the same situation, but there are some similarities as far as Litecoin was a better version of Bitcoin, or at least that was the claim, right? Ultimately, they were pretty similar, right? They were proof of work. They did so many transactions per minute, or per 10 minutes, and then Litecoin was substantially faster, cheaper, but it wasn't any leaps and bounds different on the tech, right? It's not like there was no smart contract. Like it was pretty much store value, but just a little quicker. And I feel like Ethereum versus Cardano is a similar style argument. You have the people on Ethereum that are like, hey, there's some obvious issues with Ethereum, right? There's throughput issues and congestion and gas fees. And then there's, this problem with the devs. They're always kind of infighting. And so it almost feels comparable to Bitcoin. And people were always saying with Bitcoin, like, oh, it can be faster, it can be cheaper. And people say the same thing about Ethereum. And then they're like, well, Cardano is so much better than Ethereum. It's so much faster. It's scalable. It does everything that Ethereum does.
Which it is.
It's true. But just like Litecoin, it just never caught adoption. It never caught mainstream because people were just like, you know what? I'd rather I think Bitcoin's a better play.
But to be fair, I mean, I don't.
And with Ethereum, that's where the dApps are. That's where people are hanging out. It's a little bit of a reach. I'm not sitting here trying to say that it's the same. And the smart contract world. I think at the end of the day, problem that Cardano has is the stable coins. It's so obvious of a problem. Like, they should do everything humanly possible to get stable coins on to Cardano. Without stable coins, there's no DEXs. Without stable coins, there's no DeFi. There is a native stable coin on Cardano. There are many stable coins on Cardano. I'm not saying that there isn't. However, without the stable coin, without the tether, without the USDC or Circle, you're just kind of on the outside looking in. Imagine if you had signed up for a bank and in the bank account, hear me out on this one. So let's just say a bank, the savings accounts usually like what, 0.5% or 0.1% or whatever it is, terrible returns on a savings account per the US banks. So imagine if you found a bank that said, hey, we'll give you 7% on the savings account, annualized return. That's a pretty damn good number. I mean, I'd be like, wow. However, you're not allowed to use dollars. You can only keep your money in pesos or the Argentinian bolivar. If that was the stipulation, you'd be like,
Argentinian what?
Bolivar?
No, it's a peso. Argentina's the peso.
Is it peso?
Yes.
Or Mexican peso.
Bolivar?
Chile, bolivar. Which one is it? Anyways, regardless of whatever currency it is. But you can't use U.S. currency.
It's the peso.
You got to use some you got to use a foreign currency, right?
Yeah, the Bolivar.
Playing around with me.
You're playing around with yourself.
So my thing is like, you wouldn't use that bank because that's not the money that everyone is using, right?
Yeah.
And so if you went to a bank and they were like, hey man, we'll give you a free checking account, we'll give you 7% return on your savings account, we'll give you free checks in the mail, even though nobody uses those things, we'll pay you $20 a month to keep your money here, whatever it was. Like, they incentivize you, but you didn't have dollars in there, you had to use pesos, you would probably be like, nah, I'm good, man. It's no different than Cardano. How the hell are you supposed to like use Cardano and be like, hey man, we're the fastest, we're the cheapest, we got the DEX, we got this, but hey, by the way, you can't use your regular dollars that you normally would use here. It just doesn't make sense.
For me, it's I saw Forerunner in here, and he was talking about DeFi. You guys say everything on DeFi, right? Like DeFi isn't everything. And CP, thank you for your super chat. I'll get to that in a second. But Forerunner said, you guys act like DeFi is, where's that comment while we bring Magic on here? You guys think DeFi is everything. Do better. Okay. So I know Forerunner's been a pretty big Cardano bull. I'm a Cardano bull. Okay. It doesn't mean I can't extend my, what I think, the direction should be. I'll say this. DeFi has been something that Charles Hoskinson has continuously put at the forefront of Cardano. And so, sure, there's definitely more to a blockchain than just DeFi. But when your founder puts so much emphasis on DeFi, which I'm not saying is wrong, then of course, people are going to look at your DeFi numbers, right? The whole thing with Bitcoin DeFi, Cardano's own DeFi. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Jimmy, I'm going to drop a nuke for you here in a second for the $100 super chat. But Cardano has to pick a lane. If it's the retail lane, I think the messaging needs to change. And if it's the adoption lane, the institutional lane, then just double down on your current kind of message, which is we're reliable. Our tech is, bar none, the best. Hydra can scale to millions of transactions per second. Awesome. Privacy features, side chains, great, beautiful. But retail, I've said it, and I feel like a broken record, but like the average retail person just doesn't give two shits. So we got $200 super chats. Can we drop a couple nukes here, my friends? We got one from Jimmy. said, let's open the club, for old time's sake. And then Billy with a hundo himself said, like the old days. I know it's been a while. We haven't had I was gonna say we haven't had back-to-back $100 super chats in a while, but we actually haven't had any $100 super chats in a while. I think the only dude that's been super chatting us, which I know everyone's portfolio is struggling, is CP. To which he said, Sol versus Tau. What 2 to 3x is first? Tau. Thanks for that entertainment while I work. We appreciate you supporting us, brother. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. And not with just your super chats, but also with damn. Magic, I'm sorry. We'll bring you on in a second. We got a bidding war here on the channel. Magic is patiently waiting in the back while we cheeky. Can we drop another nuke? My boy CP threw in another $100 super chat. Said, joining in, why not? We have an auction here. Who's going to come in here? I have 100. We have 100. We have 105. I was never understood why that can happen. Anyways, we love you guys. Thank you for all your support. That's for the next one. And there it is. It's a bidding war. Guys, we might have to stream till 4 p.m. today. Magic, we're going to cover our entire month's overhead with super chats from today from 3 people. It's pretty awesome, right? Community is the best. Jimmy with another one. Thank you, Jimmy. We love you. I do want to bring my friend Magic on the show. Okay, Rob's just dropping nukes. This isn't... I shouldn't say that. That's very insensitive. Magic! What's up, bro? Sorry keeping you backstage so much, man. We had a...
No, it was exciting.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a bidding war here.
Very good.
How you doing, man?
Always good.
We're excited to have you.
I'm doing real good. I'm just going to highlight the shirt today. It's Summer League Softball Champions. Just want you guys to know that 30 and up, that's my realm. So
you guys, like, is that legit or you stole it from someone?
No, that's legit.
Dope, dude. My coordination is so bad. It's so bad. I try to do the whole softball, baseball. I can't do it. I don't know.
We won the tournament with 4 dudes over 70 years old on our team. So
what?
I'm just going to throw that out there.
Hold on. 4 dudes over 70?
They founded our team back in like the 80s and have been playing on it. And so I'm actually one of the younger guys at 37.
That's why you keep going, because it makes you feel young, bro. I like it. it. That's why everyone we hire is under the age of 25. Makes us feel real young, Just kidding. Magic, I jokingly posted this morning and very quickly reposted. I said, who gave Bitcoin a Cialis? And if you're not familiar with Cialis, it's an erectile dysfunction drug that makes you go boing. And then shortly thereafter, Bitcoin hit 114K, and then it dropped. I said, well, who gave Bitcoin an inverse Cialis? And so I was like, if you could see the Google searches, like, what medicine is prescribed to get rid of an erection? And I couldn't find it, so I just decided to go with inverse Cialis. Magic, pretty I don't want to say big volatility, but 114.1 down to 112.1. It's a $2,000 swing in a matter of an hour or 2 hours. What do you think happened with the Bitcoin price action? We know gold took a tumble. Maybe if you want to look at a chart, a gold chart. But what are your thoughts on the price action? And does it give you hope that maybe it's going to be continuation to that 117 level that we've kind of been talking about on the show? Or do you think there's just too much pressure to the downside? Where are you at?
So I'm in favor of getting closer to 117.
Okay.
Pretty specific reason why. We talk about it every week. We talk about inside bars. I know you guys are probably like, this guy in inside bars never stops, but weekly time frame. So again, this is a market built on taking highs and lows. Every single chart is this way. This is your weekly candle from last week. You can see that it obviously was not going to make a new high, which would have been an all-time high or a new low. It tried to, but failed. So you lived within it. There's only 2 instances in Bitcoin's history where that's happened 2 candles in a row. So about a 95% chance is what I count. What's actually like 97, that you will probably take the previous week high, which is at 116, or the previous week low at 103 within the next weekly candle. The only other time that it happened and that didn't occur was actually after a massive dump back here. We all remember those days in 2021 when we dumped into that May range from 64K to like the high 20s. But you had an inside bar here, you can see. And then the next candle actually lived within it as well before wiping both sides of the range. So it's always possible that we could see where neither target is hit. But, for now, we're going to play the statistics and we're going to say that as long as we're above the previous week EQ, which comes in around 109,724, that we're looking for 116. I was playing a little bit of devil's advocate with them on Sunday when we got the setup. I went ahead and, went live and went over how it's traded and like what we should be looking for. And what I was looking for is, I got asked in one of my DMs was, do you think we could put in a triangle here and get continuation down? I said, I'm actually going to be looking for something like this, which is a channel. And the reason I'm looking for that is off of the idea that that previous week high at 116,000 is going to get hit. So if that's the case, we're looking to be above the EQ. You can see that if you were to split this into 4 quadrants, they've been playing pretty well. Just keep it simple. And I'm looking for the top side of that channel. And that's more of like a traditional bear flag style, letting us know that if we do get there, we should be looking at that as resistance. However, if the move fails and we make our way back down to the bottom side of this, that, there are no stop losses really being taken here. So you do have to look at that and say, if this fails, it's going to fail probably spectacularly below 109. And it's going to come down here and take everyone with it. So just keep that in mind when you're playing a setup like this. That's really it for the local price action of Bitcoin. In terms of high time frames, nothing's changed. We're still in this kind of like pseudo range. If we're above 117, I'm in favor of new highs, actually. But as long as we're above this like 96,000 to 100,689, nothing's really broken. So we just kind of need to play the range and see how it plays out.
Beautiful. And the magic, there's I'll just go ahead and kind of show this real quick. Some people are pointing to what happened with gold. So spot gold falls 6.3% and biggest one-day drop since April of 2013. Magic, if you want to queue up a gold chart while I go through these, would love your opinion, and also would love to see if gold really has topped out and where do we expect it to go. A couple of posts here. This one from Will Clemente. Gold was adding 1 Bitcoin market cap a week. So around what is Bitcoin's market cap currently? 2.2 trillion. So what Will is saying is gold was adding around $2 trillion in market cap every single week. I don't think people realize how silly things can get, even if capital even remotely starts to rotate. Bitwise says a 5% capital rotation from gold to Bitcoin could send Bitcoin to $242,000. And this is what the the gold chart looks like. Magic, I know you're not a big pattern guy, but this is a clear M, double top, bear flag, and then should break to the downside. But you are the chart magician, my friend. What are you seeing on the on the gold chart? And do you think that this was a rotation from gold into Bitcoin? That's why we saw the rally.
I don't really get into rotational trades much because at the end of the day, I'm going to trade my chart. I definitely think rotations happen though. So, the problem with rotational trades is they work until they don't. And when they don't and they fail, people tend to give back everything that they made trading that entire strategy because they just trusted it the entire time. I've not really looked at a gold chart in a while. I've got some pretty, we'll call them stupid easy targets for this asset. I was looking at this area as consolidation when it broke out. I was actually hoping to get one more dip just into this like 1800s, but it bounced off the 23 and 22 open. So that should tell you how long it's been since I've really looked at this chart. But looking at what we had as a range before that, you're just looking at your previous high here from 2011, and you're just going to drag down into 2015 here where it bottomed out around $1,000. And we're just going to expand that range. And when you expand that range, we're looking at it logarithmically, so percentage basis, from high to low or low to high, however you want to look at it. And then you're just doubling that percentage to get a -1. So in this case, it would have gave you a target that if expansion occurred on a percentage basis that was equivalent to the down, the drawdown here, you'd be looking at 4175, which would be a pretty major target for me, which it looks like it exceeded a little bit, but that's still a pretty big area. You could do something similarly if you wanted to in the opposite direction. You could drag from these lows as well if you wanted to, and you could take it up to here to get different as well. And there's your -1 there, or you could come up and do this and see if they line up, and start looking for your convergence zones, right? You could start saying, do I have anything that's going to actually like net me a position, things like that. And you can see that it starts to line up here, and you could probably add on another one because this one's pretty overextended. So if I was a gold guy and I was wanting to play the rotational trade, It's not a bad idea. It's just one of those things where I wouldn't put everything into it. So maybe that's what's occurring. Maybe it's not. But to me, there's just a really big expansion level here, similar to when we got to Bitcoin's 200% level. I showed that on the chart, I think, when we hit it around like 124 flat. And I was like, this is a really big area on the chart because you're expanding at an identical percentage basis, which most people don't look at and think anything of. But, markets to me are like rubber bands. You can really only stretch them so far. That's why these 1-to-1s and 200 expansions work so well. So, yeah, I mean, you could be in for I would say at least a momentary top. And I'm on the monthly, so this doesn't look so bad. But if you were to lose, the monthly open, say like 3,800 or about $3,800, then we can start looking probably all the way back down to like the 3,500 range. And then we start saying, is this going to top out? Because that's where it's going to confirm a top is below about 3,500. And, maybe Bitcoin's doing what it does. But I think I'd heard someone, and I don't know how valid it is if you guys are into rotational trades on Bitcoin. Bitcoin traditionally doesn't pump with gold. It's been pumping when it consolidates. So As long as gold's not like absolutely nuking itself, and it's just going sideways here, that's good for Bitcoin in terms of like a pump, which I guess we would compare Bitcoin as an altcoin to gold then at that point, because traditionally we'd always said as long as Bitcoin goes sideways but doesn't nuke, the market is good for, more speculative assets within that vertical. So very similar train of thought, I would think.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Magic. Can you scroll back to 2021, Magic, when on the gold chart, when Bitcoin had its first and second top? I think it was March and November, I believe, or March and October.
It was April. It was April 15th, and then it was November 6th, I think.
Was gold consolidating?
That's a great question. Let's see. Where is gold here?
Just curious.
You said 2021.
Yeah.
We're on the daily, so. Let's see. April is right here. Gold was actually rallying as Bitcoin was crashing, which is what's happened here recently. Bitcoin did not pump again until, what was it, like the end of July, give or take?
Yeah.
So that would be right about here, about August. And you can see, again, gold was crashing.
Interesting.
Towards the beginning of August. So gold crashing actually was good as Bitcoin was breaking out. And then it just went sideways, as you notice here. You have like a very clear range. And Bitcoin ran from, I don't remember what it was. Was it like 28,000 all the way up to 69? So, but this would have been right here where it was at when it topped out somewhere in this range. Because I think it was that first week in November. And it was just going sideways within here. No new highs, no new lows. So that'd be maybe what you're looking for on something like gold.
Yeah, Bitcoin, Magic, from the end of September to the beginning of November, Bitcoin rallied from 39 to 69K.
Nice.
Yeah, and this was the first top, right? Back in, like you mentioned, April. Second top was November, and then FTX went under. So very interesting. So, it makes you think, because everyone's always trying to tie it to something like global liquidity, or when the Fed starts printing money, or quantitative tightening when that ends, and that's when Bitcoin rallies. Maybe it's in relation to gold. I don't know. It's just there's been a lot of interesting theses that have been put out in terms of people trying to make sense of what this cycle is kind of looped around or is influencing Bitcoin's price action.
I think it's really easy to say things like, oh, quantitative easing is going to pump everything. And unless they really just turn the money printer on like they did in 2020, it is long-term going to be bullish for the asset, of course. But that doesn't mean immediate price reflection. A lot of times you get the opposite, actually, because there's weakness in the economy that caused that reaction for money printing to become a thing. So, initially, that's why when you get rate cuts, sometimes you get dumps. But long term, over time, it will reflect in price positively. That's the big picture. But we're all kind of degenerates, and we're glued to the chart every day. So we have to find something that fits the narrative or fits our reasoning for why something's happened, like immediately. That's the one flaw of humans that make markets ever not changing in the way they trade. That's why we're like, oh, it's going to trade differently this cycle because this, and this. And it's like, actually, it probably won't. And it's because we're going to do the exact same things over and over again.
I know. It's like we get like lulled to sleep and then jolted awake. Magic. if you can take a look at a Zcash chart, I think it touched $300.
Wasn't it like 160 not that long ago?
Yeah, well, it was at 60 not too long ago, and then 160, and then it's just been running. I've kind of said that, you know, we're seeing a lot of like ancient Bitcoin wallets, Bitcoin OGs. Wallets have been waking up, selling, moving, and people are like, what's going on? I don't know, man. I look at Zcash. It's got the same tokenomic model as Bitcoin. It is actual privacy. It is peer-to-peer. So it kind of aligns with Satoshi's initial vision of what Bitcoin was, what he wanted and where he envisioned Bitcoin to be. That's kind of what Zcash is filling that gap now, because let's face it, Bitcoin is not everyday peer-to-peer. Like, I'm not going to transact like $2, $3, $10, $20 with you on Bitcoin. Sometimes we'll pay more in the fees and it'll take forever. So I said, potentially, Zcash is the new Bitcoin for the cypherpunks of the 2010s, the early 2010s. This thing is rallying. It's up 5.2% on the day, currently sitting at 278. What are some upside and downside targets for Zcash for you, Magic?
I have actually never charted this one.
Beautiful.
It's not something I've ever looked at. Otherwise, I would pull up a chart. I looked for it before I came on. I was like, I don't think I've ever looked. So I went to Binance because I saw Binance had the most history.
Yep.
It was going to be that or Coinbase, I think. But straight away, the 2022 high at 216 is going to stand out as a level that if back tested, I want to see hold, because there's just not much up here. Just cruising through the time frames to see if there's anything significant. No real SFPs on the 6 month, 3 month. Actually, you do have a pretty significant one here. So on your 3 month time frame, it looks like from Q1 of 2021, which kind of makes sense, I guess, because that's that first quarter where Bitcoin rallied and then crashed, and some altcoins recovered right away, some did not. Some just never have. It is what it is. We'd be looking at this more as a zone, just saying that we'd like to live up here for an extended period of time, meaning that if we were to come back down in Q4 and give this area up, there's really not much here. So just like there wasn't much in the way above the 24 high here, it's about $80. There's not much here. You can see that this is all just kind of dead space that you'd left alone, almost like a bump and run pattern. Something like this, you would say, like a bump and run, where you've bumped twice here and then fallen off. And Bitcoin's done this several times in its history. They're really great patterns, and the target is actually the start of the bump and run. So this would be your major target, like where I'd take profit. So it's calling for a new all-time high. I would only question that if you started losing about 190 to 216, that little zone of support there. I don't know that the monthly is going to provide us anything different in terms of outlook, except for maybe some intraday or I guess medium time frame resistance here, which is what we're bumping into. So yeah, I mean, this one looks good. If you get a pullback here off of this $300 level, it's a psychological level. It's just below the all-time high. You know, there's going to be a lot of people that are just looking for all-time high and ignoring that this could be resistance, because it was here on the monthly time frame once, twice, 3 times, and now you're back to it. I'd be looking into this zone here between 216 and 190 if I was looking to really play this one. Not my cup of tea when an altcoin rallies this hard to get in, but you know what? Everybody's got their own risk profile that they like to operate within. So as long as you're below it, I would be willing to look down to here if there was a favorable reaction and take a long. If you wanted to take the opposite side of that and you're looking for a long on like confirmation breakout, you just want to see some kind of like a candle close above the level. $299 above $300, a back test, and then a move up. So you can see that this is already establishing some form of a range. And it's going to give you some pretty easy areas to like validate or invalidate, you know, price in terms of like looking for a long. So you really want to be hanging on to these lows for immediate continuation. Not the end of the world though, if you did lose this like momentarily, because this is a 4-hour chart. So we are kind of on the crack. You know, you'd be looking at something like this where it rallies and maybe you're putting in like a shark or something where you come down and like you take everybody out of the market before you get continuation, which would put you, down below that low, and it would consolidate into a larger structure here, which very well could happen, but I'm not sure at the time. So above 299, things are good. I just target the all-time high, that $72 gap there. Below here, I'm not really looking to do anything until I'm back into this support area. I'm really not looking to buy in this region of the chart.
Beautiful. Magic, as always, my friend. Love your insights. Tell people where they can find you if they want more. Magic and demo.
Twitter, Discord, you know, wherever. I'll put my WhatsApp number out there one day. You guys can text me on the weekend. No,
I can do it for you.
Or you can, kidding. Yeah, or you guys can come get it anytime at the Lawrence softball fields. spring session starts next year. You know, you can find me there. So
Wow. You can come get it, he said. Okay. We should do a
slow
flag
pitch
football.
softball, man. It's a beer league, and I've been playing on this team for 7 years, and we are yet to win the championship. So this was a big one for us.
You deserve it, bro. You deserve it.
Yep.
Magic, we love having you on. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you next week, brother.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Guys, I do have Magic's Discord link pinned to the top of the comments section. Make sure to go support our friend. Hop in his Discord. A lot of good stuff in there. Zcash, man. It's the new Bitcoin, baby. It's the new Bitcoin for the Bitcoiners, the OGs. All right. I want to talk about something big that happened today. Huge. It's from Jacqueline Melinek. Hi, Robin. From Jacqueline Melinek. Let's take a look here. The Fed had a meeting today, by the way. Did you see that?
I didn't watch it, but I saw that it was live streaming. Some of our
Good stuff.
Some of our colleagues were
interesting takes we're going to get here in a second. So back to this. The Fed's Payments Innovation Conference is today. Well, it happened. Executives from Chainlink, BlackRock, Paxos, Circle, Coinbase, Fireblocks, and more are speaking on bridging TradFi with DeFi, stablecoins, and tokenization. Rob, here are the speakers. And I've highlighted the crypto native speakers. You have Sergey Nazarov, the co-founder of Chainlink. Charles Cascaria, co-founder of Paxos. Heath Tarbert, president of Circle. Alessia Haas, chief financial officer at Coinbase. And that's pretty much it for crypto native people. Okay. You have this from Eleanor Terrett. Big news coming out of the Federal Reserve Payments Innovation Conference this morning. Governor Chris Waller announced the central bank is proposing a new type of limited access master account, what he calls a skinny master account. It's like you have a margarita and a skinny margarita, you know?
I don't know.
You don't know because
I don't.
You're... For all legally eligible institutions to receive direct access to the Fed's payments rail so they don't have to rely on partner banks. With this setup, they wouldn't have access to all the services of a full master account, like the ability to borrow from the Fed. Importantly, every legally eligible entity could get one, and their legal rules for eligibility wouldn't change. Essentially, the new Master Account Lite, they call it a Master Account Lite, would allow the Fed to greenlight innovative banks, including fintech, stablecoin issuers, and other payment companies. You guys remember Caitlin Long from Custodia Bank. She's been trying to get a master account at the Fed, and the mentions Kraken as well. Now, Rob, here's something interesting. Right? What is the title of this meeting, Rob? Payments Innovation Conference. What kind of stands out to you on the list of speakers here?
I don't know. Chainlink?
No, like what? I feel like something's missing, or there should be some other people that should have been here.
Oh, what's missing?
Yeah. Like there's realistically, you take Paxos out, there's 1, 2, 3 crypto native people.
I mean, I don't know. I think if you...
I'll answer it for you. If it's about payments, why aren't the leaders in crypto payments at the meeting? Ripple, Stellar Development Foundation, maybe throw Solana in there, right?
But here's the problem is that they're the leading blockchains behind that sector, but they're not actually leading the charge. So what does that mean? Well, XRP and Ripple, they have the promise of banking. The future of banking runs on blockchain, and their tech is the best. And like cross-border payments, central banks are going to use it. Like, we know the whole thing behind what XRP and Stellar are supposed to represent. However, give me a long list of banks that are actually using them. And so for that reason, that's why they're not there. Now, if you said to me, hey, who is actually working with banks? It's Chainlink. And so they got a head start right now. They're working with Swift. They're and they're already working with the U.S. government in the data side. There's other chains on there as well. It's not just simply Chainlink and Chainlink only, but they just haven't earned their spot yet. Will they earn their spot? I think so. I think the SEC lawsuit gonna set things behind for years with Ripple and XRP, but I do know they have a lot of connections. They're making partnerships, and they're making progress to work with the banks. They're just not there yet. And so because of that reason, they're not at the table talking to the Fed.
So you think that in a year or 2 years, they'll be at the table?
No, not a year. I've already told you, I don't believe in XRP and Stellar in the short term. These partnerships with banking, it's going to take a long time, and the SEC slowed that down. And had there not been a lawsuit in the SEC, I don't think we'd be having this conversation right now. I think they would have already been making deals with the banks, central banks, the large commercial banks that the retail use. However, that's not the reality we live in. And it was only less than a year ago that the SEC even dropped the lawsuit. And then it was only like 6 months ago that the appeal thing was completely put to bed. And so it's not been that long. That's why I keep telling y'all, man. I'm like, hey, long investment, long term, sure. XRP's great. I got nothing negative to say about XRP, bro. Absolutely nothing negative. I have XRP in my portfolio. Not a giant bag, but I have some, and I have zero plans on selling it. I do believe in it long term, and you know what? It's performed very well this year, up from 50 cents, over 5x. So I'm happy with it. However, I will not buy any more. I got no interest in purchasing any because we're in the thick of a bull market. Things are getting crazy. People are making money, especially myself, and I am not making money off of these big cryptos that probably won't do nothing this year. And XRP is just in that category. And so for short-term plays, they're outside my box. Same thing with the Fed. I don't think they'll have a seat at the table until they start making partnerships. The only reason that Chainlink is at the table is because they forced their way in. They couldn't have that conversation without them.
What do you mean they forced their way in?
Think about it. Could you have a crypto conversation without Chainlink as the Fed?
What point are you trying to make?
No, well, I'm just saying that, like, if you're going to form a conference, as you mentioned, Payments Innovation Conference, ran by the Fed, who do you have to invite? Chainlink.
Well, okay, but you said they forced their way there. Well, what do you mean by that?
I'm saying they're there because they have forced their presence because of their partnerships already with the U.S., their ongoing conversation with every branch of the United States, and the fact that they're also a touch point for data to all blockchains, essentially, that run smart contracts. Outside of ICP and then, the non-smart contract ones like Bitcoin and Litecoin, pretty much Chainlink offers services to those. So they're interconnected with all the blockchains. They're also interconnected throughout the U.S. government. There was no way you're going to have that conference without them. Now, if I said, hey, you are going to have a conference, we're not going to bring XRP and Stellar. Okay, cool. You'd be like, okay, sure, whatever. Not a big deal. That's my whole point. They haven't earned their way in there yet.
Yeah, my thing
not
is,
through the Fed at least.
This is but they're in the planning stage. Like, this is where you should be invited because nothing's guaranteed. They're not saying, "Oh, the people invited, we're gonna." I'm not saying
they don't belong there. They shouldn't have gotten invited. I'm just saying from a position of who has to be at the table, it was Chainlink. And then outside of that, if Satoshi was alive, he'd be there. But outside of that, like, that's it, man. Nobody else has forced their way into they have to be here. XRP and Stellar, they're not, people aren't using them. They're not the Zells and the Venmos of America. People aren't actively using them to send money around. If I go to send money internationally, I don't use XRP. When's the last time you sent an XRP transaction? So why the fuck does the Fed got to invite them?
All I'm saying is that says a lot about XRP and XLM, and because majority of people's kind of thesis around XRP and XLM was this exact thing. It's going to be used for global payments, governments, the Fed, yada yada. Everyone's talking about Fed now and XRP and Ripple. Well, these are the meetings you're supposed to be invited to if that is supposed to happen.
Let me ask you a question.
No.
Do you remember back in the day, there was a piece of technology for everything, right? So you had a pager, you had a cell phone, or you had a house phone. Then you had the Palm Pilot. Remember Palm Pilot?
I don't.
So it was like an iPad but smaller with no apps. All it did was write notes. And then you had your Visa card. And so eventually what ended up happening was that one central point of technology pretty much kicked out everything else, right? And so you could sit here and say, hey, there's this Palm Pilot thing. There's walkie-talkies, there's, cell phones, there's personal computers, there's laptops, there's my organizer, my calendar, there's my flashlight. Eventually, all of these companies ended up going out of business because all the products got centralized into one that did everything, right? So the cell phone essentially is a supercomputer. So there's no need for a planner. When's the last time, unless you need, here's a question, unless you need a luxury item, there's no reason to own a wristwatch. I got a Rolex. The only reason I got this thing is because it looks good. But realistically, I don't check the time on this. I check the time on my phone. I don't have a calendar that I bring around with me. I use my phone. I don't have a lot of the devices. But at one point in time when technology was coming of age and the computers were coming of age, everyone had their own computer and everyone had their own laptop and everyone had all this other stuff. But it all went away because of the smartphone. And I think that maybe we're like that in crypto. We used to have store value and then also the smart contract and then the Oracle service, and then you had the privacy chain, and then you had the gaming chain, and then you had the chain for payments, then you had the AI chain. The reality of it is maybe one chain, like your cell phone, ends up being the dominant chain that does everything. Maybe we don't need a payments one. Maybe we just have Solana or Ethereum. And maybe all the stuff that you're trying to do on all these different chains just get done on one. Maybe it is Chainlink. Maybe it is Ethereum.
Yeah, but even phones, you have Samsung phones, you have Apple phones, you have Pixel phones, you have a bunch of different phones.
Yeah, but do you carry a calendar around?
Yeah.
Do you carry a flashlight?
Yes.
Do you carry a Palm Pilot?
No.
Do you carry a walkie-talkie and a pager?
Yeah.
That's my point, is that what is the purpose of the technology of an entire blockchain built for sending money when all the other smart contract ones already do it? You feel me?
I don't. What was the point you were trying to make? There's going to be one blockchain to rule all. So what is that?
Maybe, or I would just say that specific if you told me, if someone is pitching an idea to start a blockchain, hey man, I'm gonna start a blockchain. It's gonna be only NFTs on the blockchain. Why? Why would I do a blockchain only about NFTs? Well, this one will only specialize in NFTs. But like, well, why don't you, if you want NFTs, just use Ethereum or use Solana. Well, we're going to do one that's only about sending money internationally. Like, okay, then use all the other ones. Why do I got to have a special blockchain just for that?
What do you mean?
It used to be like that because you had Bitcoin. It wasn't doing, remittance money, international money transmission, for large batch transactions. Like, it wasn't doing that. So obviously someone had to create it. And then you're like, okay, we need one for privacy. Well, let's create Monero. That one's for privacy. And so we got to a situation where so we got to a point where,
bro, we're jamming.
So
What the fuck was that?
it's the speaker outside. Don't worry, the chat in here.
Oh, they didn't? Oh, I wish they would have. It's good.
So anyways, I don't know, man. Maybe we don't need a blockchain for every single use case. In the same way that we don't need.
So if that's the case, XRP's fucked, XLM is fucked.
I'm not saying it's fucked. I'm just saying that
that's what I'm saying.
perhaps, think about it. If we're having a payments convention with the Fed, and the Fed doesn't even involve the payments people.
That was a point I was trying to make.
I know.
That was a point I was trying to make.
I know. And I was telling you it's not a big deal, but now I started thinking about it, and I'm like, hey, it's not good.
That's what I'm saying. That was my point I was trying to make. Like, if I'm in the planning stages, Rob, if we're in the planning stages of opening a new business, and we're talking about like the biggest part of our entire company, and I'm not good with analogies, but we're like, okay, we want to integrate this into our business no matter what. Let's just say it's AI agents or some shit. We're going to hear pitches and we're going to have a workshop. Hey, come show us how your product works. And we're going to take the top 10 in the industry and we're going to invite them down here, show us what you got. And we'll go with the best one. You don't do it after you pick one. You're like, all right, well, now we're going to figure out which one. No, because that's the whole point of due process is you invite them, you figure it out. You go, okay, this is the one we're going with. So that's all I was saying was if your thesis was that, then what is it now? So I would like to close a chapter of our book titled, We Can Still Make Money If Prices Are Stagnant or Down. Exhibit A. I posted this on X. This was on October 7th. Okay. I posted this chart and I said 2x incoming. Well, my friends, that was at 0.671. And, well, from that point, we are officially at a 2x. You're welcome. The chapter is closed. A new chapter has been opened. And that new chapter is readable only by our Patreon members. So if you're part of our Patreon, you're supporting us, we thank you. I threw in another crypto call into the Patreon. This one might take a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks. But if it happens, it might be like the easiest 5 to 10x of your life, or it could potentially just literally go to zero. But I have pretty high conviction that it's not. And so I shared that with the Patreon members. But this project, guys, Wire, we got into this, our Patreon, I think we got into this around 0.5 or 0.6. So we're sitting on a nice 2x, and I think this thing still has some room to run. Volume is up, liquidity is up, and holders are gaining as well. This is a legit project by a legit company that stands behind that project and is continuously shipping products and services. This is OTC settlement. And so, yeah, just wanted to close that chapter and also say to those Patreon members, 1, thank you, but 2, make sure you check your posts on Patreon. Also, I know Jimmy wanted to open the chat. We had like $300 in super chats.
The club, not the chat.
Open up the club with the super chat. But we got to dust that thing off a little bit. We also, if you haven't noticed, we got a last minute fill in, which big shout out to our boy for coming in and flipping cameras for us today.
My boy Andre.
Gracias, Andre. He's eating too much of the pastel.
No,
that's
not him.
He's eating too much of the pastel de natas. Anyways, so club credit tomorrow. We'll open the club. Okay. We love you guys. Thank you for all your support. That'll do it for today's show. No trading show today. We'll do a trading show tomorrow. One thing I'll leave you with. Last thing I'll leave you with. Keep your eye on 111.27 for Bitcoin. That is our 50% fib level on the 1 hour, drawing from the low here where this candle started at around 108.392. I expect a pretty big bounce there to retest this large volume node, which currently sits at 113.5. Should be a nice scalp or a swing trade for those of you watching.
We're going straight to 115, baby.
Yeah, exactly. I have a limit order in, and so I'm not saying you should too. I'm just saying keep your eye out on the 50 level.
You should
okay,
too.
fine.
Absolutely.
Have a limit order in at 111.283. We'll see you tomorrow. Andre, roll the outro.
He doesn't know how.
He doesn't know how to roll the outro. Robin, go help on. He did. My boy knows what he's doing. Andre, you're the man. We love you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then,
Then hit the credits button.
hit the credits button.
Sin City, crypto. Everybody know what we here for. Entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.